What if the trauma you've carried for years, PTSD, anxiety, deep-seated emotional wounds, could be released for good? My upcoming guest, Edith B. Kiss, went from petroleum engineer to holistic healer, uncovering powerful ways to heal trauma at its core. In this episode, she shares breakthrough methods that helped her and now help others break free from emotional pain. If you've ever felt stuck in old wounds or cycles, this conversation might just change everything for you. Stay tuned for this intriguing interview. Welcome to Helping Healers Succeed. This is for you if you felt the call to heal, to make a real difference in people's lives, but you also know that turning your gift into a thriving, sustainable career can feel overwhelming. You're listening to Dr. Anastasia Chopelas, a physicist turned energy healer, your guide with tips, stories, and interviews for building and growing a successful healing practice with confidence and ease, using practical strategies, science-based insights, and inspiration to help you increase your impact and income without burning out. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming programs in store for you. Welcome back. You're all in for a real treat today. My guest is someone who identifies herself with the unique name of holistic therapist, Edith B. Kiss. She is also a success habit coach, a #1 best-selling author, and international speaker. She helps clients worldwide, from millionaire traders to artists, release deep emotional traumas, overcome insomnia and mental overwhelm, and align with their true selves for a more joyful, empowered life. Originally a petroleum engineer for 15 years, imagine that, Edith's journey into healing began with Reiki, Sekam, and Karma Yoga under Karma Guru Sumant Kaul. Today, she specializes in clearing ancestral blocks, emotional wounds, and limiting beliefs, helping people reinvent themselves at the highest level. Welcome to the show, Edith. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so excited to talk about your healing journey and how you got here. So everyone has a very personal story on how they started down the path to helping people with, for you, it's emotional healing. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, thank you, Anastasia, for having me. Yes, I started a very long time ago when I was in my early 20s, and then I started to experience panic attacks. I loved traveling, and then I usually traveled alone in big distances. And then suddenly I was experiencing some issues, and I didn't know what was going on with me. And then later I found out through researching that actually I'm having panic attacks. And then I was like, I don't want to take medication. I don't want to go to the doctor. I need some natural remedies. So that's how I came across Reiki healing. And then first I was taking some sessions, and then I realized that I want to learn this so I can use it on myself and on my family members. So that's why I started. I did level 1, level 2. And then for many years, I used spirituality as a sanctuary, as a hobby, besides being a petroleum engineer. For 15 years, I was doing that profession. And in weekends, or like when I had some spare time, I went on retreats, or I went on learning something more, or family constellation therapy. So I was always into healing, bettering myself, healing myself, and healing also my relationships and my soul family. So that's what I was working on. And then eventually I also realized that I didn't like the 9 to 5 work because I couldn't spend enough time with my children. So that was the first time I actually quit my job as a petroleum engineer. And then I went on contracting. So then I had more flexibility and I enjoyed more my work because it was more specific in an area. So that gave me a lot of joy and then more time to explore. And then I realized so many other things are around me. Then I was getting to know the karma yoga healing accidentally. I was just invited to this event to translate or to help out. And I was so surprised about the strengths and the whole concept. It was so powerful. Immediately after a first meditation, I started to have like breadcrumbs from the universe. Then I used certain modalities from that technique, and then I started to get more healings. So it was very powerful. So I was flabbergasted, and then I wanted to learn it. So as soon as I learned it, then I decided, okay, now I need to move to the United Kingdom because I was in Hungary that time. And then actually I need to establish my healing business because I need to show this to people. This is so powerful. So I wasn't really a Reiki healer back then. I was still, the thing is that because it was such a new modality for people, this karma yoga healing, that I was more advertising myself as a Reiki healer. And this was like a introduction for them to like, oh, look, but I know this as well. So I can help you with a different thing as well, not just with Reiki. Because to be honest, Reiki healing, the energy healing for me, now that I know karma yoga healing, is just a quick fix. It's like just fixing your energy centers or balancing your energy centers or healing you temporary. But if you get triggered again, then you need to go back to the Reiki master again to heal you. Or you, if you have an energy healing, if you know how to heal yourself with energy healing, then basically you need to heal you again. So what's happening with karma yoga healing is that you heal it from the core through like one session, and then you don't even get to triggered from the same reason again.
You're speaking my language. I had that same experience with Reiki. The other thing that my Reiki teacher told me when I asked her, because I'm very analytical, probably a lot like you, and I asked her, so where do I send the energy? And she goes, well, the energy knows where to go. And I'm thinking to myself, but we have brains. We can figure out things. We can help guide the energy to where it needs to go. But the karma, that's another thing that, just like you, I discovered that really needs to be addressed, because it's not just karma, it's your past life lessons, right? So you've gone through all these lifetimes, and then you'll have repeating lessons, and the repeating lessons are the ones you didn't learn the last time.
Yeah, there are so many layers we are not
Yes.
aware of. So many things, and people just wake up in the morning and asking, what's wrong with me? There is so many things you could consider what makes everything wrong now, because time is not linear. Everything happening to you right now, and then all of these layers needs to be healed to feel good. And then as soon as I was like unfolding those layers and heal those layers, yes, the karma, the karmic depths release, what I do with my clients, the ancestral healing, ancestral trauma healing, and karma healing, those are all parts of this release, and all parts of the feeling better, feeling unstuck, and finally just flowing with the energies. Yeah.
So you moved to England to start your practice, to show
Yes.
people, so are you teaching people this, or are you actually healing them?
So what happened is, first I was like running to people's houses. It was like one-on-one sessions. That's how I started. And then when the lockdown happened, then I had to make everything online, and people were not trusting this online. So it was a bit of struggle to how to address this to people, that we can actually do it like through a Zoom call. I don't need to be there. And then they started to understand that after a while. So I created programs. So in the programs, I embodied all of these modalities, the energy healing, the source memory healing, the meditation. So I was more in a complex, holistic approach with everything. And obviously, I explained them that it need to deal with many things, not just coming for a Reiki session. Yeah, so that's what I was doing then, doing online programs. And then what happened is that some of my clients were already healers. They were sometimes Reiki masters, they were sometimes angel healers. And when they started to experience this modality, they were like, I want to learn this. I want to actually know how to do this, because I have clients, I can use this. And some of them were coming from hypnotherapy or other modalities, and they were like, they never had these kind of breakthroughs or healings with that. So I was really happy to hear that. And then at that time, what happened is that the karma guru who actually taught me, he passed away, Sumant Kaur. I was looking for places where they can learn it, and there was no place. And I was like, okay, then I have to volunteer. Probably I'm a chosen one to teach this. So then the first person who asked me to do it, to teach, I started to teach her one-on-one. And then came the next one and the next one. I was like, no, oh, I'm not going to do it one-on-one. I have to create a group way of teaching it. And when I learned this, it was like a weekend, and it was like a face-to-face weekend retreat kind of thing. So I didn't want do what online. So how I created the program, I created like a weekly meeting and then in a group setting, and then I made it more available for people who's far away, and we connected online. And then basically I created them a meditation library, I created them a platform for the materials, and then I made it available to do it online, like in a group setting and in 4 weeks, not just in one weekend. So I didn't want it to overwhelm them. So I made it more digestible, I could say. And then they really liked it. And then I created the exam for them because I wanted to make sure they actually know what they're doing. I'm not going to give you certificate if you're messing it up, because it's really bad. I mean, you going into the unconscious mind, you going deep into the unconscious mind, you doing releases for the client there. So I
Yes,
don't want.
exactly. Your whole story almost parallels exactly mine. I had clients and they say, "What? Can I learn this?" And then that's how my teaching got started. Exactly. But
Yeah, and it was so great that
yes, it
we-
is. So when someone comes to you, what is their complaint? If they come to you for a healing, what's their normal complaint and how do you help them with it?
So the most of the time they come because of PTSD. So they were maybe abused or they had grief or whatever happened to them is just still haunting them. So that's the most time what's happening, that they want to heal something because they don't want to be haunted. They want to have peace and harmony, peace of mind, feeling unease. So that's why they come to me. But many times it's also because they maybe have some family issues, like with relationship issues or anger issues. I have clients who's like having rages, anger issues. They want to release that or heal that. Some of them feel lost. That's another thing. Like they are not confident. They don't know what's their direction, what to do, and they just feeling lost. So then they need clarity, and then they need again higher self-esteem, and then work on themselves, like why they are stuck actually.
Yep, exactly. Some people even come to me and want to know the answer. And I said, no, you're going to figure that out all by yourself. Once
Yeah,
you're clear, you'll know.
absolutely. When they go through the healing, the inspirational thoughts start to come in, and then they know what actually the right direction. Yes.
Yes. When you have somebody whose PTSD is actually quite serious, I call it the bungee cord effect because they'll be fine one moment and then the next moment they're in this emotional turmoil that takes them right back to where they were when the trauma actually happened. It's like they're zipping back to it. To me, that's quite a serious issue. Have you had some really tough cases that you were able to help them?
I have only tough cases. I'm not kidding. So most of the people who comes to me, they tried everything and it's lingering there for decades. So they tried speaking therapy, they tried hypnotherapy, and it nothing helped them. Cases are like being beaten by relatives or being abused by a child or raped as a child or being abused as a child or being abused by husbands one after the other, and because they attracted that pattern in their life, or sometimes the what other things are which really serious. Oh yeah, the recently I had a couple of clients who were under a drug abuse, so they abused themselves through drugs, and then their children get into it too, so they felt that guilt and shame that they couldn't support their children, and they went through it, and then they got suicide. So it's like really big things happening out there with many people, and it needs to be cleared a lot. One of the story was really interesting, that there was a person came to me that she was abused by her partner, and then she said she went to so many clearings with that situation. So she knew, she remembered, of course, what happened to her. She was abused. So she went healing that memory. So she was just worked on that memory. But then she said she still feels uneasy and she anxious and stressed and feeling all bad because there is still so many, what can I say? There is still so many things which is coming up around that person, even though they cleared it. And then they still got triggered, her and her daughter as well, because she was also under that influence. What happened is when we did the healing, we went through several memories, but those memories were none of them the one which exactly was the event. And why was it that? Is because she worked on that specific event with other healers to clear, but there were many other memories which were still keeping her stuck in that emotions and with under all of those guilt and shame and then sorrow and anger. So
Mhm.
after we released the other ones, then she was better. And what was the difference between the two situations is that sometimes we're trying to heal and release things which we consciously remember, and then that's just one situation. But all the other memories, they can be released through unconscious mind, and that's what I do. Like we do the meditation up from the session, so they transcend into the unconscious, and then the unconscious is guiding us to the specific memories which are related with their current emotional triggers, and that's what we release as well. That's why it's so important to understand that sometimes when you're just speaking about things or journaling is just the tip of the iceberg, is just one memory. But then there is the rest of them which you might not aware of. Then you need to
Yeah,
go
that's
deeper.
why a good meditation before a journaling exercise will help you dive into that and allow you to float into the subconscious mind where
But I
there's a
find
memory.
it dangerous as well if someone just going into those memories and not knowing what to do with them.
Correct.
Because basically just stirring up all of these information and memories, and then it might drive them into negative, like into the rabbit hole, basically. I
Yes.
heard about clients who went to speaking therapy and went deep into these situations, and because it wasn't released properly, they got suicidal.
Speaking therapy is just a way to keep dredging up the same old without moving past
Yeah.
the issue. Like I had gone through some speaking therapy myself, and the therapist just kept asking me about the trauma, and I said, "But I'm done with the trauma."
Mm.
"No, but I want to talk about it again." And that's the problem with speaking therapy is you dredge them up, but then what do you do with them?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. It needs to be properly released, and when you
exactly.
release it, the negative emotions has to be released and replace it with positive ones, and also needs to happen the forgiveness. And why is it so difficult for consciously to forgive without the release is because many people feels like, oh, if I forgive, then my hurt or my pain is not justified, or that I was abused or I had this experience, then I'm not justified if I forgive. But they forget that the forgiveness has to happen for themselves, not for the other people, basically, for your well-being.
That's right. And actually, forgiveness is the first step. The next step is gratitude, right?
Mm.
Because you learned very important lessons with the person that hurt you. And first you forgive them and then you say thank you because you've got the lesson and now you're that much stronger.
What we do in my session is we do the forgiveness and then we channel the learning from source. What was the highest learning, this experience? And then they receive a sentence or word. And sometimes it's gratitude, sometimes it's other empowering
Yes,
thing.
something empowering. Forgiveness is just the first step. And getting to that first step is really difficult for a lot of people. And I am thrilled to hear that you're able to help people move past that and get to that point because emotional pain is extremely difficult to get over.
Some of the people who actually thinks that they are resilient or they feel like, oh, I'm not getting triggered, I'm strong, they actually just pushing down it under the carpet. And then what happens that is manifest into physical illnesses. When I see someone and say, oh, he's emotionally or mentally stable, but then having physical illness, then I don't believe it because it has to be something there to release and heal. Otherwise, they would be physically healthy as well.
Yeah, I pushed down a lot of anger and it made me very ill. That
Yeah.
was when I was much younger. And I learned that it's okay to be angry.
Mm.
Then I realized that anger has a very important purpose. It's knowing when your boundaries are being crossed, when somebody is taking something of yours that you didn't give them permission to have, right? So I said, oh, so I'm getting angry now. I could feel it inside without looking like I'm losing it. And I recognize it and I go, oh, yeah, it's okay to be angry. It's even okay to sound angry. So, yes, and pushing it down will just make the physical elements show up, whatever it is.
Yeah, sometimes when people have cancer and then they pass away, for example, and then they say, "Oh, she was such a angel. She was such a nice woman, or she was such a nice person, and then she was always loving and kind to everybody," because probably she never, uh,
Admitted to herself.
yeah, she never voiced her concerns or whatever was there, and then she pushed it down, and then yeah.
So, could you give the listeners like a top tip or two on what they should do when they find themselves in those kinds of situations?
So the most important is if they feeling very anxious or having panic attacks or having stress and depression, to check first what they is their diet. I always ask to check like do they have enough supplements, because even with the iron deficiency or vitamin B deficiency, these can be amplified, these reactions. So they can be all panicky and anxious and everything if they don't have these supplements on a good level. So that would be the first thing to check. If they have all of this well done, and they sleep well, then basically I would recommend to change that perspective as well. It's really difficult because who they are already in the rabbit hole. So when they experiencing all of these turmoils, they already in the rabbit hole. And getting out of the rabbit hole and looking at things with a positive perspective is really difficult. But where is the gratitude coming in? So count your blessings, see what is great around you, because something is probably great, even just being alive or breathing. So count your blessing, put your perspective in a positive, because is longer you are in the rabbit hole, is the worse becomes for your physical health and your for mentality or for your whole life. So you need to pick yourself out of the rabbit hole and then finding the way how, if you know what brought you there, if you know why you feel maybe guilt and shame, or where you felt hurt and what people hurt you or who abused you, find a way to forgive. That's again changing perspective, because how can you forgive to someone who hurt you? I always tell the story to people when they caught up on this, like, how can I forgive? How is it possible? When I hear I was abused when I was a child and my father was beating me up, and then no, I need to see him every day because he's a grandfather of my children. He's coming over every day, and then I need to see him every day. So how can I forgive? And then they are in this is rage. And then I always tell them that a human is just like a little tiny piece of the whole universe. And then we only 5% of the time we act on our conscious mind. The rest is the subconscious and the superconscious. So whenever that person hurt you, probably they were either in the subconscious or the superconscious. And that means that they were affected by their environment, by their ancestors, by programming from around them,
And
society.
it could have even been diet.
Yeah, and
There
then
are people that get psychotic just by drinking milk.
yeah, for the bacteria in their body, basically, or
Yes,
some
exactly.
parasites or whatever, because they have their own mind, so they can affect you too. And then the superconscious comes in when it's about karma. Might it was your karma to get punished by this person because maybe you punished this person in your past life. So when I tell them this whole story, that person wasn't the person itself who hurt you. You can't really point your finger on one person. It's like the whole universe or the whole thing which is created that situation for you. You can't really do that, pointing your finger for one person. How I came up with this, like how I really understood this, it was one situation with a client. She was telling me about abuse, raping situation, and then there was like several person raped her or were in a group. Right? It was the subconscious group affecting that one person. When that one person wanted to do the rape, and then she suddenly said the name of the person, called him out, he snapped back to consciousness and immediately stopped and left. So when they are under certain energies or certain influence, they are not themselves.
That's
When
interesting. I hadn't even considered that.
because everybody was born pure. As a baby, you are pure.
Mhm.
And then as you grow up, you got programmed, you got influence from everything, everywhere. So, as I said, society, TV, parents. And then if you take some drugs or if you take some alcohol, most of the abuse is because of drugs and alcohol. That's why I'm saying you can't really point the finger for one person, because there is so many things going on around that one person, what influenced that person. And it's not them who hurt you, it's the whole universe who hurt you, basically.
So we talked about how you got your teaching business started. If someone were just starting out right now and wanted to either become a healer or teach others their thing, what would be one tip you would give them to really get started? Any fast action tip, like they're
Yeah.
thinking about it and what should they do?
So there are so many things changed in the last 6 years, even about how you create your
It,
business, how you interact with clients and everything. But still, there are some basics what you can't leave out. And then these basics are you need testimonials, you need success, people, client success. So how you get that when you are a newbie is you provide free healings. So you need to start doing free giveaway healings to people, to your friends, to your family members. Of course, you start with them, and then even to strangers. Oh, hi, you have a birthday. Let me give you a session and collect testimonials. That's the first thing what you need to do, because it has to be there. Otherwise, if you are a newbie who would want to work with you, why? You need to have testimonials, video or sentences. Not everybody is comfortable to talk on a video about themselves, but collect everything what you can, basically. That's the first thing. And practice, because you need to be great what you're doing. You need to master your things. I was so lucky because I was teaching in Master Shri Akarshana's Academy, and I was practicing my meditations, my practicing my teachings, and then my programs for free. I was doing it for free to a community. And then that practice was so great later when I was doing my group coaching, was I doing other things with my clients, to practice doing meditations on a daily basis for people for free, doing weekly classes. I was doing it for free, but I knew I need to practice. I need to practice to be better. And I had such a nice feedback, because this was many years ago. And there I met with a person who just tuned into one of my webinars recently. And then she told me, oh, I remember your classes many years ago, and you grew a lot, you changed a lot. I was like, okay, cool. So yeah, you need to practice. You're not going to be great at the beginning, and you need to have a platform to practice. So you need to have the good and then the energy, and then how can I say, like, you need to have the confidence to start practicing in front of people. So yeah, just do webinars,
yeah,
just
that's really excellent advice. That's exactly what I did in the beginning. I did a lot of free sessions, and then I asked them if they wanted to continue to paid sessions.
mm,
I just offered free sessions and asked them how they felt afterwards and would they be willing to give me a testimonial. And that's how I got started. So, yes, exactly right.
and the next step is branding. So the branding is so important to create a brand. And then most of the time, the best is if you are the brand as a person. So a
Yes.
personal brand is really important to get that image, to get that name, and then to get something unique out there. Because coaches, there are so many coaches out there, healers, there are so many healers. What kind of healer you are, what kind of coach you are, you need to get like a unicorn name or a something which is stands out. Either you have something what nobody else doing, or either you do it on a way like nobody else is doing. Find your mastery, find your uniqueness.
It could be almost anything. I have people that do human design with healing.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll mix massage with healing. They just
Find and find a juicy name, like a catchy name. Wow, that's something very interesting, and I would love to try and then do. And
what's your juicy name?
yeah, I used to call myself holistic mentor and success habit coach, but now I'm holistic therapist, because I realized it's more like a therapeutic thing what I'm doing, even though I'm teaching as well as a mentor, but I feel like I'm more a therapist than a teacher at this point. So I call myself holistic therapist, and then also success habit coach, because that's my feminine and masculine side, like I
Yeah,
do.
I do that too. Scientific energy healer,
Yeah,
right? It's masculine and feminine mixed together.
yes.
You have a free mini course to give away, right? Tell
Yeah.
tell us a little about that.
It's a 5 series course, and then I give several informations there what can make your life better. So there are some daily routines advice there. There are some explanation about source memory healing, how it helps you. There are also some explanation about energies, vibrations, energy, body, chakras. So there is an overall explanation is like what's going on with you, how to fix yourself, how to have a better life, a lot of advice and guidance, what you can already implement on a daily basis.
They'll get results right away just by listening to it. Yeah. And we'll have that in the show notes so you can see it. You'll get the link and you just click on the link and it'll take them right to your website, which is editkiss.com, right?
Edit B kiss.
Oh, Edit Kiss. I see it. It's too small. It's itty bitty, like 11 point
Yeah. editwekiss.com.
dot
Yeah.
com. Right.
I actually also have a YouTube channel where I have a free meditation playlist. So if they want to try the samadhi meditation I talked about to go into the unconscious and then activate the pineal gland and go deeper, basically that they can try that there. But my YouTube channel is not Edit Bikis, is actually Magical Karma Priestess.
Oh, that's a great name, Magical Karma Priestess. So it's at Magical Karma Priestess on YouTube. Awesome. I will also have that in the show notes. I'll go check it out myself. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. And I'm really excited to put this broadcast out there for people to understand that they can get over things that are traumatic and hard and aren't addressed by traditional therapy in any way.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Don't forget to give this broadcast a thumbs up or 5-star rating, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next episode on helping you succeed. Thank you for tuning in to Helping Healers Succeed podcast. You'll find resources, Edit's free course, her YouTube channel link, and a link to her book on the healer's journey in the show notes on our website at helpinghealerssucceed.com. Until next time, I'm Dr. Anastasia Chopelas, sending you golden healing light and success vibes on your journey to becoming a powerful, confident healer, coach, or intuitive. Remember, your gifts are so needed in this world.